Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. Uh, what are we doing at this point with Peter? You know, when Sonny said he was gonna put out a hit, on Peter, I'm just thinking, all right, cool. So what's your plan? Like, you're gonna just, shiv him or whatever? Like an actual, like you're gonna kill him. You're gonna like. His plan is to give him poison and have him die slowly. I don't know what these half measures. You know, Thinking about what he did to Peter today reminds me of what he did to Johnny Sakara. Instead of actually killing him, he shot him without looking and then said to Olivia, "Oh, well, I gave him a chance to survive." You gave him a chance to survive. You're in the mob. I sat there and I was like, when they said that Peter was being rushed to the hospital, I was like, rushed to the hospital for what? He should be dead. What are we doing? What are we. Now, yes, it's true. I don't want Peter to go because he definitely does make the. One second. He definitely does make the show a lot more fun, more exciting, and more suspenseful because you just never know what Peter's going to do. But with that being said, if you're going to actually. Like, what is with these half measures? Like, why don't you just kill him and be done with it at this point? No, we're going to poison him and we're going to give the doctors time to try to, bring him back to life instead of killing him and just being done. I, I'm going to be honest, I'm actually disappointed about that, but you know what? I'm disappointed, but I'm not surprised. So we'll just put it that way. So, yeah, Liz knew about Jason's death. We didn't even get to sit there and see her reaction to the news at all. Okay. So she comes in there and, Finn's like, I'm sorry, I heard about what happened with Jason and everything like that. And it's almost like Disney wanted to just kind of just rush her part and just kind of get it out the way. Um, she's angry, she's sad for herself, she's sad for Jake. It's just one big mess. They do bring in Peter. Well, they bring him in, and Finn and Elizabeth didn't know who it was, and of course they get there and are like. So the whole time, Liz is just like, so why don't we just, just kind of, accidents do happen pretty much. Um, so they're doing what they can, even though they don't want to do it. Maxie comes in there a couple of times, and she's all like, why can't you just die? I mean, he should just be dead already. I mean, why can't you just let him die? I was like, we probably shouldn't be, like, talking about that. Like, prying ears and everything like that. I mean, if the guy does kind of die, I mean, it's just not going to look good. But, towards the end of the episode, Liz come in there. And she comes in there with, like, a scalpel or whatever. And I'm sitting there thinking, you're a nurse. There's all sorts of ways to probably kill someone, make it kind of look like an accident. Something that way it won't get traced back to you. So why the hell are you holding a scalpel for? What are you gonna do? You're gonna slit his throat and then just be like, oh, he wasn't breathing and I had to sit there and perform a tracheotomy. Like, what is? I know that she's angry, she's grieving. When you're in that type of state, you're not really thinking too clear. I don't even know what to say about this whole thing. I still feel like that was just like, really, you poison him, you can just kill him. That I know it's a soap opera, but yeah, it's actually really stupid. Now Carly does sit there and asks, like, oh, because Anna comes to talk to Sonny, and Anna's like, yo, listen, just make sure, you don't do anything. I want him to be prosecuted. Sonny's like, hey, listen, I'm staying out of it. I mean, he's not even on my radar. I'm not thinking about him. So Anna gets a call. She rushes out, and Carly's like, all right, so, like, what happened? What'd you do? I guess things changed a lot because now, Sonny is more open, to talk about business with his wife. I think the only reason why he didn't do that before because he didn't want her to be an accessory. But at this point, they were probably going to haul her in anyway. So, he tells her, and, she's happy about that. And, Sonny was like, I wanted it to be a very slow, painful death. And I'm like, Sonny, you do realize that they are bringing him to a hospital. One of the best hospitals in the world. There's a good chance that he can revive from this. What is your backup plan if this doesn't... Okay. Alright. Now there's a point where Maxie and Liz are sitting there talking about Franco and all the victims that, Peter, has done to people. And what I actually really like about this scene is how they really, years ago, with Maxie feeding pills to Lucky just to, have sex. I was trying to think of a more creative way of saying it, but it's just screw it. They will go back and forth with each other. Maxie and Liz will just go back and forth. And now they're both sitting there. And, just kind of consoling each other, just kind of just really just having a heart-to-heart talk or whatever. And I'm like, man. I remember when I was first watching this, y'all two couldn't stand each other. And the one thing that I mean, I don't know exactly Maxie's, back then. But, Liz had kids. And I remember Maxie saying something along the lines of, she made a comment about, I guess, spit up or whatever. Or, drool that was, on her when she would go to work and stuff like that. And I was sitting there thinking, Maxie, you have kids also. Remember you made that little comment about her? Yeah. Good times. I still remember that. But, again, it's interesting that they are now actually, on much better terms than when they first started off. Alright, is it my imagination, or is it every time that Cameron Madison or Drew, whenever he comes into a room and he, announces himself, it's just always, this breath of fresh air? Because, there's... And I've been kind of avoiding talking about this for a little bit. There's the really sad part of this episode. So seeing him reconnecting with Curtis and just smiling and laughing and stuff like that, it's just every time he comes into the room, it's I mean, don't get me wrong, it still sucks that Jason Steve is gone. And I'm not saying he's a great consolation prize, but it's really nice actually having him on the show. Which is a really nice way to say he's a consolation prize. But again, I'm enjoying every time he's on screen, so that's always great. They catch up, and Curtis is there talking about his dad and how he's not happy about him just coming back, trying to dig up information, and Drew wants to help. And I'm why not? I mean, yeah, he's going to spend time with his daughter, but, it'd be nice to give him something to do, So, he said he's going to think about it, which means he's going to just let him do it. Now, on the other side of town, in GH, you got Stella and TJ talking, just catching up. And Stella wants to know what's going on with TJ. Stella wants to know what's going on with TJ. Stella wants to know what's going on with Curtis. And so she asks, TJ a couple of times, like, yo, what's going on with him? Every time I try to talk to him, he kind of avoids the questions, and he just seems like there's something off. And she wants to know what, but TJ's like, you gotta talk to him. You gotta find out yourself. Like, I'm not. It's his story to tell. I'm not doing it. And after a while, she kind of realized that, in respect to him for his loyalty, saying it's a very rare commodity in this world, which is 100% true. Um, I don't know how to sit there and tell this part without it kind of confusing a little bit because you have these characters kind of move around a little bit, but so Stella comes to the club to see Curtis, and they're reuniting and stuff like that, and Stella's like, yo, listen, I've been trying to ask CJ, and I'm asking directly, what is going on? And before he's really about to say anything, that's when Marshall comes in the door. I'm gonna be honest, I actually forgot his name, and somebody said it. So now it's just this whole thing, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm actually looking forward to tomorrow's episode to see how this whole thing goes down, because I feel like there's a lot more to this story, obviously, than him just being this crappy father, just like, all right, I'm just gonna leave and come back. I don't know, years later on, like 30 years something later on. And I feel like Stella knows, and the sad thing is, I feel like Stella may know some of this stuff. I feel like she's probably keeping a little secrets also, as she knows more about Marshall and his disappearance than she's letting on. So I guess we'll find out tomorrow. Now, Trina and Portia are talking, obviously, and Trina's feeling a little kind of down. She feels like she's kind of. I mean, she said she was a loser, which is kind of exaggerating, but she felt like she was kind of down because, Esmer keeps like throwing in her face that she doesn't have a boyfriend, and they're going to this cabin trip or whatever, and she's pretty much the fifth wheel, as Portia puts it. Portia tries to reassure her. They get into Portia stuff, and Portia's like, we kind of took a bit of a break a little bit just because after a while, I don't know if she said it before or after, Marshall comes in, which I'm going to be honest, like, why is it every time he walks into a room, he always gives off this creepy vibe. Like, constantly he gives off this creepy vibe. And he walks up to Portia, and he's just, like, kind of standing there like, bro, who, like, did anyone like invite you over here? Like, what are you doing? Like, that was the look, that was the vibe. That was damn sure the vibe that I was gonna get if I was there and this dude just walked up. But they're both pretty standoffish, and the way they're talking, Trina feels that the dude is making her uncomfortable. I think they might have talked about it before about Curtis' dad coming back and lying or whatever. But anyway, Trina sees this and she's like, yeah, I don't know what's going on, but you're making her feel uncomfortable. Like, I just getting this bad, creepy vibes or whatever. So, after a while, Portia more or less is kind of done with him. Is like, yo, you can kick rocks. Like, you should probably. You ever just had that one person that was just standing there or just like there for too long? Like, you're not really too much friends with them, and they're just kind of just like the talking to you for a little bit, like, yep, and the weather's really great. I'm sorry, why are you still here? That was pretty much the look that they had on their face. So after a while, more or less, Marshall kind of got the hint, and I think he apologized for him like deceiving her, and yeah, he left. And that's when Trina was like, okay, so that's why y'all haven't really been seeing each other, because of him. And of course, like I say, he goes to see Curtis towards the end and runs into Stella. Side note, and this is something that I didn't really know too much. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't really watch the show that much, but she played the actress that played Stella. She played on Will Smith of Bel Air. She played Will's mother. And I remember I used to watch that show from time to time. I wasn't huge into it, but I do remember her. And um, I don't know. I was going through social media or whatever, and I guess I must have came across her page, and I was like, oh, wow. I don't know. I just thought that was kind of interesting. I mean, again, I don't know how many people actually watched that show. I wasn't. It's kind of weird. I wasn't even a huge Will Smith fan back in the day, but yeah. So that's something that I learned new today. So, Brando and Sasha. By the way, if I forget somebody else, because I know I am, I apologize. So yeah, Sasha and Brando find out the news, um, about Liam, and it's not good. It's not good. It's weird because I know. Here's the thing. I know that logically, it's a show. These are pretend characters. This isn't real. So like logically, I know that. And I feel like maybe if this was a couple years ago, like maybe if I was in high school, I don't know if it would have phased me that much. But now, even though again I know it's a TV show, it's I don't know. Every time like there's a sad scene and it involves a child, it just yeah. So yeah, they find out the news and it's not good. It's not good. Pretty much what happened with the whole placenta abruption or whatever. He is 1 second. More or less brain dead. I think that's what they said. I'm not too sure because I heard it, but it was one of those things where it was like, I'm sorry, what? Britt and some other doctor. I don't think it was Navarro, but it was somebody. But anyway, they told her that. Well, they told them that, and like it was just like it was like they were in shock. Um, they were in shock, and so they started asking questions like, could we try it again? And Britt was like, I don't think it's gonna help, and it was it's kind of a sad scene to be honest. It's kind of a sad scene, and there was one point where they're like, what else can we do? We're not just gonna give up. Like, what other options can we take? And it seemed like the doctor was gonna say something, the other woman, and Britt just was like, you know what? Listen, we can consult them with other specialists. So before like we make anything conclusive, we'll get back to you. You can talk to them or whatever. And she took the other doc. No, actually no. Brando and Sasha left the room, and after a while, like Britt was just sitting there, and Epiphany came in there, and Britt told, Britt felt like she made a mistake by not telling them the truth or by keeping whatever the doctor was gonna say, um, to herself, giving them false hope. But Epiphany was like, listen. And honestly, to tell you the truth, I didn't even need Epiphany to say this to know that Britt made the right call because just looking at their faces, feeling their emotions, you know, she knew it just was not the right. She knew it was just not the right call to make. So, Epiphany was like, no, you did a good thing. Um, and honestly, to tell you the truth, Epiphany was kind of surprised. I mean, man, this woman, Britt, must have been something else. I mean, I've seen parts of Britt like from back in the day a little bit, but never anything like whole. And I knew she was kind of a terror. So the fact that she came back and now she has this humanity switch turned on or whatever, it's surprising even Britt. I mean, it's surprising even Epiphany. There was one point where Epiphany was talking to Maxie, and Maxie was like, she just wants to be there for him. Epiphany was like, no, you need to go home. Like, they will call you when they're ready. This is not the time. Um, I mean, granted, she couldn't sit there and say the diagnosis or whatever, but she was like, no, you don't want to be here for this one. When they're ready, they will call you. And so you see Sasha and Brando just sitting there. Well, they're at the station or whatever, and they're just like looking at the child. And it looked like Brandon was gonna say something. But he was like, you know what? I'm just not even. Nope, not doing it. And just stand there and just this fear and terror and sadness. It was just sad. It was it's pretty much nothing else to say. It was just sad. You know, I was not there thinking about. Like, remember when Oscar died? And I know it sounds harsh just even sit there saying that, but I just remember that episode. And I remember it just dragging out for a while. And I remember knowing the reason why the character, got killed off is because the actor didn't want to, like, do it anymore or whatever. So, like, part of me just felt detached just because of that. Um, and I felt like that was, and granted, that was supposed to be a really sad scene, especially at the end where Drew is sitting there carrying his son, out the house. And I don't know why, but for me, when I saw that, I felt like that was just like, all right, this is just too much. And it wasn't even sad. It was just like over the top. It was like, all right. Granted, I know that's probably every parent's worst nightmare as far as outliving their child. And I don't know how a real parent would sit there and react to like carrying out their own son or whatever. But like it for me, it just seemed like it was just over the top, and I was just like, all right, this is like no. And yet that was supposed to be a sad scene, but it didn't really do anything to me. Maybe because it's a child, it's an infant, that it probably just like gets me a little bit more. I feel like I'm missing something. I really do. I really feel like I'm missing something. But I say that every single time. And that is mostly because they have an extremely large cast that is just unnecessary sometimes. But whatever. Um, Anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna go. I want to thank everyone for watching. Be safe. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. I'm gonna be honest. I think the hardest part about this review was talking about, well, the whole Liam stuff. So, and I know it's probably not gonna get any more easier. So, yeah, I'm gonna probably try to do my best not to tear up on camera, but I make no promises though. So I'm gonna promise to try. Anyway, at this point I'm kind of lost for words, and I'm not doing this over again. But I want to thank everyone for watching. Be safe. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video.